Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now, just know that you are locked in on to the point with
Skip
and the King. You guys know what to do. Go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave comments, let us know what you think. We love you guys for supporting us and enjoying our fantastic videos, and especially more so enjoying our fantastic guests, especially our very controversial guests. Our main man who is here today, Mr. Andrew Reece from the Reece Report, which is where I go every morning for my sports updates. How you doing today, Drew?
I'm great. I just sent you your Minnesota Vikings preview, Brian.
I know, man. Yo, Matt Russell needs to shut up.
So I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, I did not. I did not. You bothered me with that one. But otherwise, everything's good. How's the little man? How's our
little man's good.
person, Michelle?
And I'd like to say, listen, I like to bring facts. I don't like to bring hate. I just like to bring facts. And if people love it, they love it. If they hate it, they hate it. That's just the way it is with me.
You bring the hot takes, my brother.
Yeah,
that's why the group chat is named the Hot Takes.
Right? I'm sorry, I'm not a fanboy. It's just not me.
Oh, wait till you see me tomorrow at that. Anyway, so let's get right into this. Okay, like I alluded to at the beginning, 73 points is better than a combined 72 of LeBron and Debo. And that player that put up the 73 points was the one and only Malachi Flynn, which we are going to focus on today. So I have to ask you guys, and especially you guys out there who just clicked on that thumbnail. Yeah, I saw you guys out there. Andrew, I'm not going to go with you first for once. I'm going to ask Skip. Is Malachi Flynn possibly the next point guard for the Toronto Raptors?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's the next point guard in the sense of the guy that you're going to give the ball to and run for 40 minutes in a game. I think there's pretty clearly a hierarchy in this team of the top 9 guys are pretty set. VanVleet is, whether you want to call him a point guard, whether you want to call him a 2, whether you want to call Scotty the point guard, whether you want to call Pascal a point guard, they have their roles. Delano's a different conversation. Now we're getting into that. But I'm talking about the top 9 here. They're pretty set. So I don't think Malachi is about to come in and take on big time ball handling duties, big time minutes. But what I think is the Raptors need one guy to step up and be that 10th man this year. And I think there's a chance for Malachi Flynn to take that role and run with it. I think he's going to be given the opportunity. It's really hard to tell based on how things went in Summer League, because obviously Malachi did not play in Summer League. Those numbers you shouted out were not Summer League numbers. They weren't even Drew League numbers. They were. What did you say it was, Reece? The
CrawsOver ProAm.
CrawsOver ProAm. Jamal Crawford's league.
Whatever that is.
Yeah. So I mean, he was not even in Summer League. He was over here in this other
better than LeBron.
League. Yeah. Well, and then there was the Drew League, which is another story. But then Delano Banton, who's sort of the other guy in the mix for that backup point guard job, those backup point guard minutes, he was in Summer League and he was being featured in Summer League. So it's really interesting to get into. It would be really interesting to get into the Raptors' brain trust heads and figure out what the logic was for holding Malachi out of Summer League and for featuring Delano so much. Was it because Malachi's already above Delano on the depth chart? He's got another year under his belt.
Yes.
They don't think he needs another year of Summer League? Or was it because they want to feature Delano and they're ready to move on from Malachi? And those are the questions that I don't think are obvious. I don't really know. But from my perspective, what I saw from Delano Banton, as much as he was productive in Summer League minutes, he did not look like a guy who's ready to step into an important role for a playoff team. He can use some more seasoning. He struggled with certain aspects of his game, obviously the turnovers. We talked about that last episode. And so I think there's an opportunity here for Malachi to come into training camp this year and say, you drafted me a first rounder 2 years ago. you have a need for somebody to come in and stabilize the ship, not play crazy minutes, not play 30 minutes a game, play 7 minutes a half, 5, 7, 8 minutes a half, and just let Fred VanVleet have his rests and just kind of take over and keep the ship running. And I think there's an opportunity for Malachi to do that. Not going to be dropping 73 every night. Let's forget about that. If he can drop, 7 points a game, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, that'd be perfect. Anyway.
You know what? That's actually great, and that's what I want to get to you at, Reece. Skip just said it. He just said seasoning on there, and I know your wife. I know she loves to season her meat. She's a West Indian at heart. I know that, right? Especially with the oxtail. But with the seasoning on that and getting Malachi Flynn accustomed to the Toronto Raptors organization, like they have obviously Freddie, obviously Delano, obviously Scotty, obviously Pascal, like Skip just said, right? Taking care of the ball. But this kid is killing it out there. Where do you see him fitting into the Toronto Raptors organization going through forward?
Skip is so nice.
Here we go.
He is
Ladies and gentlemen,
so nice.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
That I love coming on the show because Skip is so nice. Like he can find the most positive in everything. He's such a nice guy. Let's get down to business here. Malachi Flynn's been in the NBA for 2 seasons. Okay, in those 2 seasons, he's been awful. Let's not mess around here. He's been awful, and I'm going to explain to you why he's been awful and how he's been awful.
Okay, bring it.
He's shooting in his career. He's shooting 38% from the field, 32% from 3, and it gets worse in the G League. In my opinion, he should be in the F League, which is, I guess, the league he's playing in right now, because the G League's not good enough for him either, because he's shooting 28% in the G League and 13% from 3 in the G League. Malachi Flynn is not an NBA player. He's not an NBA player. That's last year.
That was 2 years ago. He shot 13% from 3. Last year, he shot 40% from 3.
Skip, let him finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, it was actually...
I want to talk about his NBA 32%. Numbers. But he struggled in the G League at a point as well. He had 1 Eastern Conference Player of the Month. I want to give that to him. That was in his first season, I believe. And he had about a 5-game run last year where he was decent. He's a chucker. He's a guy who's very careless with the basketball when he does play. It's why Nick Nurse pulls him so quickly. It's the reason why Fred VanVleet averaged 37.9 minutes a game last year. The Raptors do not have a backup point guard, at least an NBA backup point guard. And Delano Banton, for all the ups and downs, I've seen more in him than I've seen in Malachi Flynn. He actually passed him the depth chart at one point last year and was playing more minutes. So this is supposed to be a first-round pick, but who, by the way, was picked over Desmond Bane. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, bad pick.
Masai has done a great job, but this might as well be Bruno Caboclo, because you can't pick him over Desmond Bane. We could really use him right now. The Raptors really needed a backup point guard this year. They don't have one, and I'm worried about Freddie and his knee and his hip, because he can't play 38 minutes a game anymore. So the way I look at it is this. They have to move on from him. They kind of don't have a choice right now because they don't have the cap space to get someone else. But I don't see Malachi Flynn making an impact for the Raptors this year. I just don't see him as an NBA player. He only averages 2 assists a game as well. Now, I understand he doesn't average a lot of minutes, but he's more of a chucker than anything. The other thing that he lost was he used to be a guy that would drive the lane very well. He's lost that as well. He's just going up the court and jacking up shots. So he was Defensive Player of the Year in college. I'm not seeing any of that in the NBA either. So I just don't...
0.1 blocks per game average.
I just don't think he's an NBA player. I've seen enough. There's no consistency, and Nick Nurse has made it loud and clear that he has to play Fred VanVleet 38 minutes because he doesn't trust anyone on his bench that is a point guard. He even had to use Scott Barnes with good reason at the point last year because of that as well. So I just don't think he's an NBA player. I'm not trying to kill the guy, but the stats and the play that I've seen speaks for itself.
Okay. Can I weigh in here, guys?
Get after it.
Can I? Okay. So let's just say, okay, Skip. Let me to go back for a prelude. I did say the Toronto Raptors at the beginning of the season, this could possibly be bench mob 2.0. Now, my issue was,
and you were wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Very wrong.
You've known this over the year. I have been saying that the bench players do need to get more reps. They do need to get more time, right? Like Malachi, he only started 5 games this year. He only played 44 games this year. He only averaged 4 points this year, right? If maybe he was given the opportunity, like in the ProAm? Remember that video game, RC ProAm on Nintendo, Reece? Remember that one? Where you get to shoot the rockets, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was a good game. But
it's not NBA Jam, Brian.
I know, right? Oh, were you kidding me? Let's play Jordan versus Bird. But he hasn't got enough time to build those stats, because when people can look at the box scores, right, and see what these players have accomplished, it depends how much time have they really put in, right? Like minutes per game, he's only played 12 this season, right?
I think that's what he's earned,
which is actually down from last season.
Yeah, and that's what he's earned.
Yeah, and 19.7 the year before, right? So
yeah, and he deserved to go down in minutes.
It does show, but there was also that discrepancy that we did speak about of Nick Nurse shortening the bench and just keeping the core 7-8 players just to play without utilizing the other guys to give them their reps and to let them go with what they want to do. Now, based on that, guys, okay, Reece, you did talk about Malachi Flynn just recently on that.
Yeah.
Now, what I have to ask you guys is, if the Raptors, I got 2 questions, but if the Raptors were to keep Malachi Flynn, how can they utilize him? And if the Raptors were to ship up and ship out Malachi Flynn, what can they get?
Okay, so I just wanted to say, I'll just say it quickly. I don't think he has any value whatsoever. I think he's going to be used even less this year because of the emergence of Scott Barnes and his ability to play the point. I even think Banton might get more minutes than him. I look at it like this: Chris Boucher came from the 905. He was in the same position as Malachi Flynn, but wasn't drafted as far as I know. Okay, he had to work his butt off and earn the trust of Nick Nurse over a couple of years, even after winning MVP of the 905. And he had to scratch and claw and earn his playing time, and now has gotten a couple of nice contracts and is an established 6th man on the bench. Malachi Flynn has not done that. So I look at Chris Boucher and I'm like, that's the guy that Malachi Flynn should have been and is not. So go ahead, Skip.
Okay, well, to answer your question about value, I agree basically nothing. I think the optimal value you'd be able to get is a future 2nd-round pick, because he was a late 1st rounder who hasn't panned out. Yeah. It'd be a 2nd. It'd probably be a late 2nd, if anything. I think he has very minimal value. And as much as I think that there's still room for him to grow, there's no arguing that he's struggled and that he hasn't panned out up to this point, and that his opportunities are dwindling at this point. I don't think he can afford to have another bad year. I think the question is he going to get one last chance here to kind of really come into the kind of player that we need him to be? And you might be right, Reece, that he's not an NBA player. I think there are reasons for some of the problems that you pointed out. Namely, he just might not be athletic enough for the NBA. Like, sometimes guys are really good at the college level because they can play a system, they can do what's required of them, they can follow instructions. And then you get to the NBA level, and every single player on every single team is a freak athlete. And suddenly those gaps, they go from this big to this big. And so there's a real possibility that that's what's happening to Malachi Flynn.
Maybe they go from this big to that big.
Yeah.
And that's why you see him go down to the pro amateur, and suddenly he can take over, because it's like, oh, now I've got my gaps to work with.
I watched Jimmer Fredette do that as well. So
so there's definitely a chance that that's the case. I want to see, and maybe I'm wishful thinking here, I want to see a world where he can just slide in, and he's never going to be Steph Curry, he's never going to be Fred VanVleet. If he could be Tyus Jones on the Grizzlies, a guy who averages eight points, a guy who averages like 8 points, comes off the bench, plays 20 minutes a night, is a very important defensive cog in the machine. We haven't even talked about Malachi's defense yet, really. That's another key issue, because with the Raptors schemes, right, he's obviously going to be at a disadvantage because he's 6'1", and Dalano Banton is getting all this run because he's 6'7" or whatever. He can sort of fit into the positionless basketball concept.
Versatility.
Yeah.
Vision 6'9".
So I could definitely see why the Raptors are eyeing Gallinari and sort of maybe would be pushing Flynn to the back burner. But I want to see this world where Malachi can just eke out a role for himself, whatever that role is. I mean, he scored 4 points a game last year, but you're talking about 12 minutes a game. If you start to ramp that up, you start looking at his per 36 minute numbers, they're not quite as bad as they look. What he needs to do is he needs to be, the thing is, for a guy who is not fast enough or strong enough to really dominate in either of those senses, you've got to be a knockdown shooter. That's how Fred VanVleet became the player that he is right now. VanVleet, he has some of the same problems, being 5'11", having to shoot the gaps, not being able to finish it in the lane. Well, but he can shoot the lights out of the ball. So if Malachi can get his shot in order, if Malachi can become a scoring point guard, and he can find those gaps, and he can just eke out a role for himself, I think there's a chance.
I don't see Jeremy Lin in his future.
Yeah.
No Flynn sanity.
Raptors era Jeremy Flynn, or
No, I don't see him. I don't see him all of a sudden turning into Jeremy Lin on the Knicks. I just don't see it. I mean, he doesn't have the athleticism. He does not shoot the ball well. He doesn't even really pass it well, and he turns the ball over a lot. And when he tries to drive the lane, he's completely out of control. At least when Fred VanVleet does it, he uses his body well enough that he'll finish enough in the lane to make people honor his shot, so that he'll get blocked a lot.
That is
short,
repetition,
right?
Okay, but that is repetition. So you're talking about 12 minutes a game, not getting the reps. Like, a guy like that has to learn how to finish in the lane at the NBA level, and that means reps. That means, if you're playing on a bad team, maybe they run you out there 40 minutes a night. And
I mean, it's not like he's destroying the 905 either.
He's had some moments. He actually, as much as you quoted his 3-point shooting numbers, but those were his 3-point shooting numbers from 2 years ago. Last year at the 905, he actually shot quite well. But again, we're talking about samples of 6, 8, 10 games here. So there's going to be a lot of variance there. He's going to have to show up he's going to have to show up in training camp, and he's going to have to make his shots. That's
I just don't see the minutes. I just don't see it. I don't see Nick Nurse. I just don't see the minutes. I don't see him getting any minutes.
There's 9 guys who are going to get minutes on this team.
Let's name them, Skip.
Trent.
Freddie.
Okay.
Scotty.
You name them.
Pascal. OG. Boucher. Precious. Who am I missing?
Birch. Birch is going to get minutes.
Gary Trent.
I'm not counting Birch in the top 9, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't count it. Okay, so who you got?
Birch will play some minutes.
And then there's Koloko. There's Banton.
I'm not counting Koloko or Banton in that.
There's
You missed somebody. You missed somebody. I wasn't following.
Yeah.
Who did I miss, Skip?
Anyway.
Okay,
Who did I
Young.
miss?
Thaddeus
Otto
Young
Porter
and
Thaddeus
Otto
Yeah,
Porter.
your boy.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Otto Porter.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of
So
depth.
I don't see a lot of minutes for him, and when you don't have a lot of minutes, you need to make the most of the minutes you get. Chris Boucher was playing 8 to 10 minutes a game, but every single time he was out there, he was giving them everything. I don't see that from Malachi Flynn. I see a very, I don't see Malachi Flynn giving that kind of effort every night. I just don't see it, and that's probably why he's not getting the minutes. Boucher had to earn every single last minute he got, and boy, oh boy, does he like every game I watch him, I know he's going to give me something. Right? I don't see that from Malachi Flynn.
Hey, Eric and David Flynn, listen, he's not speaking on behalf of us. We love your boy. Go on, Reece.
Maybe I just want to see some desperation from him. It's like this is his last chance. I don't think he has a contract after this year. I don't think anybody's going to sign him. He'll end up in the G League trying to work his way back up. I mean, there have been some great stories from the G League of that happening, including Jeremy Lin for a few years. But I just don't see it. I think there are too many holes in his game for him to be. I just don't see an NBA player. I just don't.
That's fair,
Okay.
and that's totally fair. I think he's got to take advantage of whatever opportunities he has this year. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, like I said at the opening of the show, I don't even know if he's going to get those opportunities because they may be already looking at Delano Banton. But I think there is a world where Delano's not ready, and they need that 10th guy to come in and play and do some ball handling and do some of those things. And I think he could carve out a role for himself in this team if he can execute his shots. And if he can, obviously, the other thing we haven't even really gotten into is he's a big pick and roll guy, right? And having guys like Koloko and Precious Achua around might actually help him find that game again a little bit. So that's
quite possibly if it works within the system that Nick Nurse has.
The way Nick Nurse is too, like he kills like his starters and really plays his guys a lot. So that really limits his opportunities as well, right?
And there's the other question is, okay, you can sit here and say Malachi is or isn't an NBA player. But the other question is he or isn't he a Raptors player? Because he's not 6'9". He doesn't play that style.
He doesn't fit that.
He doesn't fit that style.
Dominic, what do you have to say? Dominic, what do you got to say, little man?
Reese has got his kid on the show for us, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, that kid's welcome anytime on the show. But guys, this has been a great conversation. We're running out of time right now. So do you guys have any final thoughts on Malachi Flynn? And maybe give me like a little projection of him in the season coming forward. Skip,
I don't see. Okay, go ahead, Skip.
I would say there's an optimistic projection and there's a pessimistic projection. So optimistically,
one, man, just do one.
Optimistically, I think he can up his 12 minutes a game, get 50 minutes a game, maybe score something in the realm of like 8 or 9 points a game, 4 or 5 assists per night, couple rebounds, and just kind of slide in to this backup role. Like I've said, I think that's the high end of the projection though, and I do understand that, and I understand why they might go in a different direction and just say, you know what, you have a toxic relationship with the organization based on whatever comments were made last year, and they may just say you're at the end of the bench, you're going to play those garbage time minutes, or they might ship him out for a second round pick and use the roster spot on somebody else. That's also totally within the realm of possibility. But I think optimistically he has one last chance to secure a job on this team, and I hope he goes out and he does it because it'd be great for the team.
Okay, Reece, I know you're going to go pessimistic, so hit us up.
I hope the Raptors make a trade for a backup point guard sometime in the middle of the season, like they did for Thaddeus Young when they had to get rid of Dragic. I don't see Malachi Flynn as an NBA player. I don't think he'll get the minutes that he had a year ago or even 2 years ago, because the Raptors are a much better team than people expected. They have Scott Barnes, who's a burgeoning superstar, who's going to take a lot of the point guard minutes. And I'm actually hoping that a guy like Ron Harper Jr. shocks us and maybe gets some minutes on this team, just on name value alone. I haven't seen him play. I have no idea what he can give us.
He did not look good in summer league. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't watch the summer league, so you know. But I think the Raptors are going to make a trade for a backup point guard at some point, to give Freddie some relief, because you can't play Scott all the minutes as the backup point guard.
I think they might go without point guards. Like if Malachi doesn't win the job, if Dalliner doesn't win the job, they might just roll without point guards. Like
Skip, you had your final thought.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just don't want Freddie playing 38 minutes a game anymore. That's all.
Okay, so to close us out, guys, I'm just gonna say real quick. You know what? Like, yes, I agree with you, Reece, about Nick Nurse running the players down to the ground with all the extra minutes. Skip, I agree with you that they do need to look for a backup point guard. But Reece, thank you for coming on today. Shout out to my man right down there, Dom. Right?
Yeah, he's always excited when I'm on the show. So
shout out to your wife. Send her my love. I watch your TikToks all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. You guys go check them out at the Reece Report. That's where I go for my sports reports every morning as soon as I wake up, before I even get out of my bed. Okay? I might be tagged in there sometimes. You might see me. But thank you for coming on, Reece. We love you, man. We'll see you next weekend. We'll talk about that on the back chat. But Skip, great seeing you. You know I got the bootleg, right?
The old copy.
At SimonBroder.com. At Dougie J's. Get at Andrew Reece and Simon since it's baseball season. This is when they go off. Sometimes I wake up in the morning and I see like 99 plus messages, and it's just the two of them talking about baseball.
Yeah. I gotta ask Skip about the Jays possibly getting Juan Soto.
Okay, you guys save that on another group chat.
That's a different chat.
Okay. Yes, that's a different chat.
So you get at Skip at Dougie J's on Twitter. You guys know where to get at us. You guys can get at me at King Hussein on all social media platforms. And thank you guys again for supporting, watching, and enjoying what we have to do. So on behalf of myself, Andrew Reece, and the one and only Simon Broder, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and
peace.